We've got 7 games on Friday. Let's take a look at them, including maybe another big opportunity for Guerschon Yabusele. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I'm the one that hacked Luke Sayers' Twitter account. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky, joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Check out lockedondaily.com and you're going to find the best newsletter for your favorite team. All that info that you need chucked straight into your inbox. Of course, you can find a bunch of fantasy info here as well. And that's why you double bang, that's why you subscribe, and that's why you get ready to put into your calendars the live trade deadline show, February the 6th on Thursday. 1 p.m. Eastern, we go live to break down all of that news. We're here to preview Friday, just the 7 games on, and it is Peculiar People Day. So if you consider yourself a peculiar person, well, this is it. This is the day. Celebrate yourself. Celebrate your differences. Let's talk games. We've got 6. No, not 6. We've got 7 of them on, actually. That is my bad. And the first game is one that is plagued with absences. It is the New Orleans Pelicans and the Philadelphia 76ers in Philadelphia. Both of these teams are in a schedule plus position, but unfortunately there's just a million guys out. Herb Jones hurt his shoulder in the last game. He has been ruled out of this game. Brandon Ingram remains out. Trey Murphy, who was considered day-to-day, with also some concern, but day-to-day, but also with concern, he's going to miss his 3rd consecutive game with that ankle sprain, and DeJounte Murray has re-popped up on the injury report with the elbow issue that he's played through, but we monitor it. The good news on the Pelicans side of things is that Zion Williamson returns in this game. He only sat the last game because it was his first game back and was across a back-to-back, so he'll be back and ready to go here. On the Sixers side, again, no Joel Embiid. This is the foot sprain issue that cost him the time, or he did injured on Christmas Day. And again, it's why I didn't want anything to do with Joel Embiid, because I believe his knee is rooted, and now we've had just other injuries costing him all this time too. So with him out, Andre Drummond out, KJ Martin out, Kyle Lowry out, well, there's big opportunities. Paul George will return. He's listed probable, so he will return. So what do we want to watch? On the Pelican side, it's Yves Missi, who has definitely had a downturn. I am intently wanting to see what happens in the pairing with him and Zion. Now, we don't have Herb, we don't have Trey, so there's still plenty of minutes here for Yves. With 3 of your top 6 players out, Ingram, Herb, Murphy, right, we're still going to be able to get Missi decent minutes. But if they don't play minutes in this game, it is due to the Zion fit, and that should be very worrying in terms of where his minutes lie and his role lies the rest of the season. For the Sixers, Kelly Oubre is just getting a lot of minutes. With George back, where does he slide? Usage-wise, it does help that Embiid is out, but we know what he can be and what he can't be. In terms of stream guys, well, New Orleans, it is a little bit tough to figure that out because there's no Herb and there's no Trey. I think that it could be Jordan Hawkins that starts. It could be Javonte Green that starts. It could be BJ Boston that starts. All of those guys have an opportunity. What we know is that DeJounte, assuming he plays, he will start. And if DeJounte is out, then we really lean into Jose Alvarado. But DeJounte, Zion, and Missi are going to start. And you're going to have 2 other spots open. Last game, it was Jeremiah Robinson-Earl, but you're not going to want Robinson-Earl next to Zion. So I think you're going to have Javonte Green, and then maybe it is Alvarado, maybe it's Hawkins, maybe it's Boston in that position, but there's value in all of those guys jumping up. On the Sixers, Guerschon Yabusele is putting together a very, very strong run of games. Now, it's required both Embiid and Drummond to be out, and that's okay, because they remain out. So does KJ Martin. So you're going to get 35 minutes plus here from Guerschon. Maybe not plus, let's say 30 plus. And I think it's a great opportunity to be using him. I don't think it's got value long term. Like, I don't say, well, now Guerschon's a 30-minute-a-night player under all circumstances. I don't think that's a true statement at all. But for now, that's where we're at, and we use him in this scenario. The second game of the day, it is the Milwaukee Bucks and the Orlando Magic. The Magic are playing on Thursday, so it's a back-to-back for them coming into this game. It's a schedule plus position for Milwaukee in terms of injuries. Giannis, Dame, and Middleton all got listed probable. So we know probable usually just means they're going to play. On the Magic side, Gary Harris is out. I'm expecting that Jalen Suggs is out. It's not very often that you'd say someone is out indefinitely and then they miss just one game after you say that. That's the case for Suggs. He's out on Thursday. So I'll assume that he's out on Friday. I'll say that we're looking at maybe a week, but I just don't know with Jalen Suggs. And the other one there is Paolo Banchero, who still on the official injury report at the time of me recording this, which is basically 5 p.m. Eastern, he is still listed questionable on the official injury report, Paolo, for Thursday's game. Now, Chris Haynes said that he's not going to play on Thursday and he's going to make his return on Friday. So we'll go with that. But if whatever game that Paolo, like if for some reason they change their mind and play Banchero on Thursday, then he won't play Friday. But I'm going to assume that report from Haynes is correct. He's going to sit on Thursday, therefore Paolo will play on Friday. In terms of what we're watching on the Bucks, Gary Trent's put together 2 really good games in a row. You know me, I'm not going to trust Gary Trent, but when you're looking for points, or more importantly, threes and steals, he can bring that. And we know Doc Rivers he works on a chunk principle. I've seen his Twitter likes. But he also goes through and has a look, this guy's on a nice little hot run. Bobby Portis, AJ Green, Big Boom AJ, Torian Prince, Gary Trent. Let's give extra minutes. And then, something sours and we move on to the next guy for the next chunk of games. So Trent's in the middle of a good chunk. In terms of stream, guys, you could have Trent there. You could have Prince there who's going to start. Usually as a starter, you've got more overall upside. The other thing is, Andre Jackson's terrible and he just keeps getting bogansed. So maybe they do make a move there as well. So watch for Trent in that scenario. And then on the Magic side, Cole Anthony, it's going to be risky, especially with Banchero back. Maybe they go with Mr. Black in the starting lineup instead. But there is no Jalen Suggs. So Cole is going to get a sizable role somehow. But it might just not be quite exactly what we want. I still have pretty good hopes for Cole, at least in this short term. But it could be evaporated. And that's not evaporate. That's a click. But that's a cloud of smoke, but it could go as quickly as I just clicked my fingers. The next game, it also involves a team coming in on a back-to-back. It's the Golden State Warriors taking on the Indiana Pacers. Schedule-wise, neither of these teams are in a positive spot. This is actually the final game of the week for the Warriors as well. John Kuminga's going to be out. I'm expecting Gary Payton is out. And then we've got the whole section of unknowns. Now, I will just do a quick cursory check to see if there's been any updates on the Warriors for old mate, all of those guys, who's going to play, because we don't know. But at this point, Steph, Draymond, Moses Moody, and Dennis Schroeder are all listed as questionable on whatever day it is, Thursday. Andrew Wiggins has been ruled out of Thursday's game, so I'll put him as questionable as well. But I don't expect that Steph, Draymond, and Schroeder miss both of these games. So they're going to, certainly, I would say, given they're all questionable tagged, they are going to miss one game. Steph, Schroeder, Draymond, and we already know Wiggins is out Thursday. So they're all going to miss one of the 2 games. Now we've just got to wait to see for the Thursday game to see who plays and then who doesn't play, and then we rule in and out accordingly. It is also possible that Brandon Podziemski returns. Now, he is out for Thursday. I don't think he plays Friday, but I'm not going to rule it out at this point. There is a chance that Podziemski is back, and if Steph plays Thursday and sits Friday, and Schroeder sits Friday as well, Podziemski would have an opportunity to have some interesting numbers, but it is entirely up in the air. What I know on the Indiana side is that Aaron Nesmith is out, but the 2 big names there are Miles Turner and Tyrese Halliburton. Turner missed the last game due to illness. If he is out, we deploy Tom Bryant. And if Halliburton's out, we deploy Nembhard and McConnell, both of them in 12s. And they're both questionable. I think Tyrese will be okay. Turner, it's an illness, so at any point, we've seen that. It costs people 2-3 games at a time. On the Pacers side of things, I do want to watch Tom Bryant because I know he's bad, but I also want to see what role they give him. And if Turner's out, we're all in on Bryant for a 1-game stream. But is he a 12-minute player, which makes him an 18-team league guy? Or is he a 17-minute player, which makes him like a borderline 14-team league guy? That's a determination. We're not going to be exclusionary here for other league sizes that aren't 12s, even though that is the majority of stuff we talk about. So, if I'm looking at Tom Bryant, it's not for 12s as a general rule. We're looking at it for deeper formats. In terms of stream, guys, the Warriors could open up a million stream options. It could be Lindy Waters, it could be Kyle Anderson, it could be Moses Moody, it could be Pat Spencer. It could be a million different players depending on who is in or out. But Anderson's been providing enough value that I feel safe saying, have a look at that. And then on the Pacers, Andrew Nembhard, but Bryant and McConnell could really elevate if Halliburton or Miles Turner do happen to sit out, which at this point, it's a 50-50 proposition. We've got more games we're going to come back and talk about. Of course, we do. We've got 4 more of them. Before we get there, though, today's episode is brought to you by TurboTax. It is tax time for you guys, and Intuit TurboTax, well, they're here. And they are here to help you because I know that you're tired of the endless waiting, the wondering, and the worrying about your taxes. Well, Intuit TurboTax makes that a thing of the past. Taxes do not need to be complicated or stressful. TurboTax is here to change the game by matching you with a TurboTax expert who can get to work on your return right away. No more waiting for answers, no more wondering if you're missing out on deductions. One form, 20 forms, whatever. TurboTax experts give your taxes their undivided attention while you get real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on what really matters. Ready for stress-free taxes and the most money back guaranteed? Well, head over to turbotax.com and get matched with your expert who's ready to take your taxes off your plate so that you can focus on your day. That's only available with TurboTax Live full service, real-time updates only in the iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. All right, so we're still looking here at games across Friday in the league. The next game we take a look at is one that we had not long ago over in OKC, and the Thunder are on an unbelievable run of opponents. They took on the Cavs yesterday, obviously, and now they go into New York to take on the Knicks again. And in terms of spreads, the Thunder are 1.5 point favorites here. This is a schedule plus position for the Knicks as well. Chet's going to be out. I don't expect that Alex Caruso plays, but we haven't really got any update on that whatsoever. They just sort of rule him out game by game. So I'll put him as doubtful. I think I've got AJ Mitchell questionable. Maybe he returns. They did waive Brandon Carlson, so I do expect that Mitchell gets converted to a full contract at some point coming up soon, and he'll play his 10 to 15 minutes a night. Mitchell Robinson will be out for the Knicks, and the other one there is Juice McBride, who the soreness is still keeping him out. Oh, wow, what a sore problem he must have. Unbelievably sore. The sorest hamstring without a strain of all time, where it's over a week absence for Juice McBride. I don't know if he's available here. For the Thunder, what are we watching for? Lou Dort, to me, it's just more about how we utilize him and what the role is. I feel pretty secure in that. Honestly, for the Thunder, there's not a lot we watch. And for the Knicks, Jalen Brunson continues to be somewhat underwhelming. And someone asked me this question earlier today on the Mailbag Show. I said, man, I think it's just his efficiency that's had a big dip. Not really. I was surprised. Yeah, his three-point shooting is down, and that's impacting him. His three-point volume's a little bit different. His finishing at the rim is way up. But overall, his field goal percentage is exactly the same as last season. It's just a drop in usage, which is, again, a little weird. It's a little weird that it's dropped that much, but we've got this perception that he's been quite poor in terms of his shooting. But, it's been an issue. For streaming, we still go to the Hong Kong mattress, Cason Wallace, who is going to give us those steals. He's playing his 30 minutes a night. I'd be really intrigued to see what happens if Alex Caruso plays. Does Wallace go back and play 25? Because that makes him harder to look at as a stream guy. And then on the Knicks, it's probably Precious Achiuwa, although you could, I guess if you were desperate, look at Landry Shamet or Cam Payne if McBride is out. But I still look at Achiuwa. But that's still, again, it's going to be deeper league stuff. These are not players that have much of an impact for your standard 10 or 12 team formats. The next game up, it is the Sacramento Kings. They're taking on the Boston Celtics. Schedule-wise, we're all pretty straightforward there. And injury-wise, we're sort of okay. We don't know about De'Aaron Fox, who's missed 2 games with that glute issue. I'll put him as questionable here. He hasn't... we haven't seen him in about 6 or 7 days now. I would say that he's probably likely to play. Derek White has been taken off the injury report with his illness, so he'll be ready to go. And then Jordan Walsh missed the last game, but that does not really matter. On the Kings side, there's numerous things to watch, and one of those is going to be how they use Keon Ellis, but also Keegan Murray in his role, and DeMar DeRozan. How does Doug Christie handle it if they've got a fully healthy rotation? And then on the Celtics, it's been really bad from Peyton Pritchard the last 2 games. Is that the new thing? Is he 22 minutes? Is he less than 20 minutes? Is he back to 29 minutes? I want to see how Sneaky Joe Mazzulla uses Peyton Pritchard here. In terms of stream guys, Keon Ellis remains that guy. Still have some concerns about what minutes he gets when they're healthy, but that's okay. We use him for now and we see what happens. And then Al Horford's the other one there on Boston, who's not a must roster at all, but you stream him in, you get decent enough value. You're using him over those other guys like Cornette or Cater or Hauser or someone like that. It's a very obvious call to stream in Horford, I think. The next game, there's quite a bit of uncertainty around the Washington Wizards and the Chicago Bulls in terms of availabilities. This is a schedule plus spot for both teams, though. Marvin Bagley is going to be out. We know that. Malcolm Brogdon's dealing with foot pain. expect that he plays in this game, so I'll put him as doubtful. The question's going to be around Alex Sarr and Jordan Poole. Poole's missed, I think, 3 in a row now with the hip issue. Sarr missed the last game due to illness. And then in that game, we got Valanciunas starting, playing 21 minutes, of course, and then Richaun Holmes got 27 off the bench. And if Poole is out, that gives that extra opportunity for Jared Butler. Now, don't get confused with Jared Butler. He was great last game, but he had 41% usage. He only played 21 minutes. One of those things, 21 minutes, is way more likely to happen than the other one, 41 usage. So don't look at Jared Butler as an absolute must. You've got to grab him under all circumstances sort of a player, I don't think. Johnny Davis, Tristan Vukcevic, both dealing with some illnesses. They're not going to be playing much of a part anyway. Ayo Dosunmu remains out for the Bulls, as does Tory the Stallion. He's dealing with a leg issue. Not going to be a rotation piece anyway, most likely. So on the Wizards, we do want to see what they do with Jared Butler, because what if Poole plays? What if Brogdon somehow plays? Butler was great, but where are the minutes? It's very Champagne-ish. A guy that comes in on a two-way, puts up numbers when a bunch of guys are out at his position. We like it. It looks interesting. And then other guys come back and he doesn't do anything. I think we might be at that spot. And then we also want to watch Nikola Vucevic. Now I know that I say this mainly to get all of you people who love Vuce upset. I don't know why you love him. I don't know why it's just not understood that A, he's been putting up good numbers on unbelievable shooting. Also, B, not that good of a real-life player. C, been outside the top 60 for the last 3 weeks or so, which is about the range that I think he's going to be rest of season. I want to keep watching it. The thing to mainly watch, I think, with Vooch is going to be usage. Because there's been games where he's pushed to 26, 27, that changes things. But if he sits at 21, 22, 20, and the efficiency falls back and maintains at this level that it's been the last 3 weeks, again, which is a normal level, which has taken him to be outside the top 50, then he is going to remain that player. So it's watching what the offensive role is and seeing where it all sort of settles in. And I feel very confident, as you know, because I've maintained this position in the face of all those crazy things that happened, that he would be this sort of mid-range efficiency guy, not the greatest shooter in the NBA. That's where we're at. Streams, Bob Carrington can be disappointing. Really, we've seen it. He'll have the good game, but his usage remains so incredibly low that he is subject to efficiency streaks. So he might only take 8 shots, and you hit 6 of them, and you'll have like 12, 5, and 5. Now, that's great. But then in another game, he might have 2 of 6, and then he's at 4, 5, and 5. And you go, well, what am I doing with that? So he is still, I believe, pretty borderline, bub. He's okay to roster for now, but as for long term, I think he's sort of going to sit around that back end area. And then Lonzo Ball, yeah, we're sort of there. It's obviously punt points. It's getting steals in. It's getting a block. It's getting 4 or 5 assists. But the minutes are up at the moment with Dosunmu on the sidelines. The final game of the day, well, honestly, I think we're going to be in this situation for the Nets for a while. You just throw your hands up and go, I don't know. I don't know, because they're going to have guys in and out all the time. It is a schedule plus spot for both the Nets and the Nuggets. But Cam Thomas will be out. Very certain Cam Johnson will be out. This is the beginning of their road trip. Thomas is going to be out the entire road trip, apparently. Johnson, they think, might return during it, but he's not going to play game 1. Because if he was going to play game 1, they wouldn't say we expect him to return some point during the road trip. So Johnson will be out, Thomas will be out, Watford will be out, Bogdanovic will be out. Maxwell Lewis is going to be out. And then I don't know. Derek Whitehead, the pimple, he's dealing with concussion protocol, so it's safe to assume that he won't play. But then Ben Simmons, D'Angelo Russell, and Day'Ron Sharpe. 2 of those, 3 of those actually, are really important. All of them. They're all really important. If Russell's out, then we love using Simmons. If Simmons is out, well, that helps Zaire Williams. If Sharpe is out, well, Noah Clowney gets an even bigger bump in that position. And if all of them play, then I don't know what we do with Clowney, or Williams, or Sharpe even. It becomes more crowded. So it's really tough, and I think we're going to get a lot of these situations for the Nets playing out. Because you could have, like, Tyrese Martin's been relatively useful, but he could also play 10 minutes. In terms of the guys that I'm watching, Zaire Williams feels like the sort of player with enough draft pedigree that despite iffy games, unlike a Tyrese Martin, for example, that Williams will just get benefit of the doubt to play 25 or 26 minutes. Is that enough? It probably isn't. I think he can be useful at times, but I think he's going to be probably not worth the headache the majority of it. And then for the Nuggets, just go and have a look at Christian Brown's box score and game log of late. He was playing 36 minutes earlier in the season. Gordon and Jokic are out at the moment. He's like down at 28, 29, 30. And he gets by on like, here's a 75% shooting night. I remain, again, very confident in this. My confidence was shaken early in the season about him not being a 12-team league guy because I said that, and then he maintained it for weeks. But he's sort of moved back to being the guy that maybe I thought he would be. So it's about watching where his role sits, Christian Braun. In terms of streams, I am still going to go with Noah Clowney, but Keon Johnson's in that mix as well. He's an easy stream in. I'd say both of those guys are pretty useful. And then Zaire Williams and Day'Ron Sharpe are level behind, but it can all change in an instant depending on who is and isn't available. And then on the Nuggets, there's a couple of options you can go for there. Peyton Watson to get some defensive stats in with Gordon out and maybe Jokic. I didn't even talk about the Nuggets. Gordon's going to be out, I'm certain. Jokic could be returning from his illness. But Peyton Watson and Julian Stroud have been the two guys off the bench who have pushed into larger roles and produced at a decent enough level of late. Today's episode is also brought to you by Rocket Money. We all have some sort of subscription that we have paid for and we forgot about, or we've got it signed up twice. We've all got that stuff. So many subscriptions in the world that's the way the world goes, and you can just lose track of them really easily. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions. It monitors your spending and helps lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in cancelled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. It is so easy to do to set that subscription tracker up and just check exactly what's going on so you can keep a track of what you're doing. Plus, with their goals feature, you can automatically set aside money for the future without worrying and stressing about the budgeting every month. So cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That is rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. All right. That will bring us to look at the schedule. And it's not as big of a schedule type situation here at the moment because there is no back-to-backs on Friday to Saturday, and there is no one playing 5 games or 2 games over the next 7 days. So all we're doing is looking at chunks. Who plays 3 games in the next 5 nights that's available in 60% plus of Yahoo leagues that is worth adding for that short-term stream option? Well, it's a lot of the same names we see all the time. Andrew Nembhard, Patrick Williams, and Lonzo Ball in Chicago, Keon Ellis and the Sacramento Kings, Noah Clowney and the raft of garbage Nets, and Cason Wallace, the Hong Kong Mattress, and the Oklahoma City Thunder players. Some really, really solid options there when you're considering how do I preserve moves, 3 games, 5 nights, good players. All these guys have availability across many different formats, and some of them, like Keon, you might keep long-term. Like Clowney, you might keep long-term. Otherwise, you're just cycling through and maximizing the opportunities, using your waiver ads, using your roster spots to the best of your ability. But what that does do now is it brings us to talk about the streams of the day. Who are the best streams for Friday with the 7 games on? We'll start by just looking at the streams of the day, and I'm going to put Cole Anthony up the top there, although, again, that could change very quickly. If they decide that they're going to start Mr. Black because Paolo is back, then I don't love Cole as much. But I do think there's a really good opportunity for him here. For 12 teams, I'm going to go with Lonzo Ball. For 14s, I'll go with Peyton Watson. And then deeper leagues, I'm going to go with Julian Strawther, who is putting up really good numbers at the moment. And if Jokic is out, that actually helps Strawther even more. For your Yahoo and ESPN points leagues, I'm going to go with Cole Anthony also. Again, but the gap between number 1 and number 2 in a lot of these streams is pretty low. And you'll see when we talk about the 10-team cat league streams, which I'm going to do right now, is the second player there is Guerschon Yabusele. And you can have more confidence in Yabusele than Cole if you want. And I think you maybe could very easily do that, especially because we don't know Paolo's situation or if Cole will start. But we know that Embiid and Drummond are out. So you've got Anthony, you've got Yabusele, Lonzo Ball, Andrew Nembhard, Keon Ellis, and Peyton Watson. All really high-level streams for Friday's game, with some of them appearing as chunky options as well. If we want to step that down to 12 teamers, I'm going to have Noah Clowney on that list, who was great last time out, but also the games before he wasn't very good. The key indicator for me there with Clowney was he led the team in shots 2 games in a row. So that at least shows a level of focus from Jordi Fernandez to get him the ball. Pat Williams is on this list for 12s, Bub Carrington, Julian Strawther, Obert Toppin, and TJ McConnell. Of course, Toppin, McConnell, and Tom Bryant would shoot to the top of this list if Halliburton/Miles Turner happened to be sidelined. For deeper leagues, these are all, according to our Basketball Monster roster number, under 20% rostered. So you got John Isaac, BJ Boston, and Jose Alvarado in New Orleans with all those guys out. Zaire Williams, the artist formerly known as Torian Prince, and Caleb Martin. And then the top 6 stream guys who are 60% plus available for Yahoo points and for ESPN points, is actually the same list of 6 guys. So Cole's at the top, so is Guerschon Yabusele, very close. Pat Williams, Andrew Nembhard, Peyton Watson, and Noah Clowney. Again, Clowney's value would rise in a scenario where Simmons and Russell are out, and if they play, it probably sits around that area still with some iffiness associated with it. That is a preview for Friday. Peculiar people rise up, peculiar people celebrate, peculiar people double bang. And if you are one of those peculiar people, and let's be honest, a lot of us are, me included, let's embrace it. Doesn't mean you have to flaunt it. Just embrace that you're going to be different. Confidence in yourself. Focus on good. That doesn't mean ignore bad. That's really key. We're not fluffing ourselves up. We're just saying, that was good. All right, next thing. That's how I like to approach it, and that's how I think we can have success together. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.